semifinal match of this edition of the FIFA 2007 Women's World Cup. USA and Norway getting set to battle in Shanghai. The states have not lost 2 in a row since March 15th and 17th of 2001, but they are in position to potentially lose 2 games in a row for the first time since then in this third-place game. Good morning. Glad you're with us. Rob Stone, Tony DeChico, Heather Mitz with you as we build you up into kickoff of that game. Following U.S.-Norway, we'll have complete reacts of that one leading up to the championship game. Let's take a look at the starting 11 for the U.S. this morning, and a couple changes. One due to an injury and a red card suspension of Shannon Box. Another one maybe going a little more offensive with Allie Wagner up there, Coach.
Well, it's about time I think we see Allie Wagner, see what she can do. I don't know if she's 90 minutes fit, but I think that they need an attacking punch. Heather, what will she bring?
Right, Allie Wagner can probably only go 30 to 45 minutes, but Greg Ryan did say that Norway's left back likes to push up into the midfield. So look for Allie Wagner to try to play that ball in behind to Heather O'Reilly. And look for Leslie Osborne to try to mark Ragnhild Bronson again, as well as she did against Kelly Smith in the game against England.
Kate Markgraf not in the starting 11 due to injury. Here's Coach Ryan pregame.
Well, I'll tell you, at the end of it all, it's been very difficult, but fantastic to see how the players have come through, that they've really come together as a team, support each other, stood up for each other, and focused on this game, winning third place, representing their country, and just giving the best they have. That's what they've always done, and hopefully that's what they'll always do.
Thank you and good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot, Jaime. Thanks, guys.
Hope Solo not on Coach Ryan's roster today. We will have a look at maybe why she was so emotional coming up at halftime. It's a fantastic piece. You're really not going to want to miss it. JP and Julie with the call of Norway, USA.
We're coming to you today from Hankou Football Stadium. It seats some 34,000 here in Shanghai, which is China's largest city. We're getting ready for the third-place match between the United States and Norway, a match that, frankly, the USA thought that they would not be involved in. They thought they'd be playing in the final, but instead that's coming up later between Germany and Brazil. That is Greg Ryan. And here's what's at stake for him and his team. They've never finished lower than third in a Women's World Cup, which is an outstanding achievement in and of itself. The last time the USA lost 2 consecutive matches, you'd have to look that up in the record book. It goes back to 2001. And the last time that Norway won against the United States, you'd have to go back to 2002, as the USA have won the last 7 in this rivalry. And what a great rivalry it is, dating back to the late 80s. We'll check out our World Cup Sunday menu. Coming up at halftime, a special feature on Hope Solo, probably a side of her that you have yet to see that is coming up at halftime. She is not here at this game. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Julie Foudy and how China has changed comes up on World Cup Live. And the World Cup final, of course, Germany versus Brazil. Germany trying to become the first team in the history of the Women's World Cup to repeat as champions. And of course, Brazil are in the final for the very first time, led by the great Marta. If you haven't seen her yet, watch that game. And I think anybody that's seen her, they'll stick around anyway and want to see her again. She scored 7 goals, the leading goal scorer in this tournament. Norway's in red, USA in white, and as they kick off, Julie, a third-place game. Normally that's been a downer for the U.S. when you played. What's it like?
Well, you obviously are very upset that you're not in the final, but it also is a chance, and for USA, having talked to many of the players, to show that they can play better. They're disappointed with the Brazilian loss and want to put a better show out there tonight for the United States.
Allie Wagner is part of the USA starting lineup today. We're not sure how long she can go as the ball is played back by the captain, Horpestad. This is Bente Nordby in goal. 22nd World Cup game. That's an all-time record now for Norway. On the right side, that's Marion Dalmy getting a start. She subbed in late the other night. Kate Markgraf injured, so not a part of the normal USA starting lineup here this evening. Wambach holding it, playing it back. Going towards the corner, that's O'Reilly, and it's too far away. Check out the USA starting lineup. Brianna Scurry gets the start in goal.
Bry gets the start again in goal for the second time, and you'll see a change on the back line. They're going with the same 4-3-3, but Dalmy in at right back because of the ankle with Kate Markgraf, and Allie Wagner making her first World Cup start here in China. Only able to go, as JP mentioned, 30 to 45 minutes, possibly. And the same front three for the United States.
This one is sent long the other way, and Nordby will come up with that. For Norway, their starting lineup, a goalkeeper that you know very well, Bente Nordby.
Bente Nordby played with the San Diego Spirit at one point, Carolina Courage as well, and they also are lining up in a 4-3-3. Stensland, their playmaker in the middle. Gulbrandsen, Solveig, and the other Gulbrandsen, Ragnhild Gulbrandsen playing up top, two of their key target players they'll try and play through today.
Here comes Norway. They would love nothing better than to beat the U.S. At one time, Norway was the only team that had a winning record against the United States, but that has slowed down these days as Osborne sends it ahead. Lilly's on the chase, forcing the pressure on Christensen. Lilly turns, fires it up high. Skimmed the top of the crossbar. Goal kick coming up.
And a better start for Christine Lilly in the United States. She wants the ball more. The United States wants the ball at her feet. Not very involved in the last game and looking to get actively involved early.
Nordby will get ready to put it back into play for Norway, who lost this summer against the United States. Just a close game, 1-0 on a Carly Lloyd goal that could have gone either way. Throw in here for Lopez. Going to remind you that Shannon Box not playing because of the suspension the other night. A very harsh call. Replays showed she was the last to know about it. That's Dalmy's pass ahead. The U.S. looking to build. Osborne to the right, but Dalmy who steps forward. Dalmy out of Santa Clara goes long on the ground for Wambach. Knocked away by Horpestad. USA will have a throw-in coming up. Wambach, the leading goal scorer, 4 of the team's 8 goals to this stage, and 8 goals for the USA is a very low number. Probably 6 goals against is a high number for them at this level.
And looking at past World Cups, 15 has been the fewest the U.S. has scored before this World Cup.
This one goes right back to Nordby, who will roll it ahead to the right. Nordby's played every minute of this World Cup. It's her 5th World Cup, but she didn't play in the first one, so she's played in 4. Christine Lilly, the only one on the women's side to play in 5 World Cups. Carbajal and Mateus on the men's side are the only 2 that have done that. On this right side, the cross inside is going to be cleared out. It was by Gulbrandsen. Into the box it goes. Cleared away. U.S. looking for it. Norway turning. Gulbrandsen going down. U.S. getting it. The Lopez feed towards Osborne. Osborne will carry it. And Norway will break that up. Osborne stepping in. That's broken up as well by Stensland. She led that, but nobody was there. Gulbrandsen, Ragnhild Gulbrandsen was the closest one to it.
And sitting down with Coach Ryan today in the team hotel, he talked a lot about wanting to be calmer and to hold the ball and to show more possession style offense today. And the U.S. already doing a much better job at that. They don't have the same type of pressure they had on them like in the Brazilian game, but at least showing more composure on the ball.
Christensen is on it. Christine Lilly with 336 caps, 127 goals. We expect this to be her last World Cup, obviously, but will she play in the Olympics? That's the bigger question.
Well, I tried to get that out of her, actually, and she took a very audible sigh and said, I really don't know. I need some time to go home and think about that.
Throw in here for Folstad. On the turn. No room there for Norway. Because of their results in this World Cup, they've already qualified for the next Olympics. They're pleased about that as Scurry comes off the line and Bryan makes the play. Rolling it ahead.
And a good early touch for Brianna Scurry. Coming out strong and holding on to that ball.
Here's O'Reilly. Down this left sideline. 1v1. O'Reilly looking. Crossing it. And she'll get a corner kick for the United States. Their first one. O'Reilly with a goal against North Korea. A big one. It was the first goal for the USA in the tournament.
And here you see Heather getting into the end line and trying to get something across. And a big set piece for the United States. They scored against them in July, similar to this.
Lilly had played that one across, headed back in by Whitehill. Stensland trying to clear it out. Here's Lilly again, cutting towards the end line. She'll cut it back. It's loose. It's anybody's ball, and now it's cleared away. Solveig Gulbrandsen running it down. She is now a soccer mom for Norway. Cut over to the far side. Storlokken. Looking, leads it. That's cut off. Dalmy with another try, and that's cleared out.
And a good first 7 minutes for Christine Lilly. She looks fresher. She's getting the ball. She's getting to the end line.
Throwing for Camilla Husa. A couple of assists for her in this tournament. She's played in all 5 games to this point. On the turn, Gulbrandsen leads it almost. That's cut off and cleared by the U.S. But into trouble it goes and sent right back in. O'Reilly is there with that pass ahead. Tap back to the halfway line. Tapped over to the left side. And that goes out of play.
And you can see already early, Husa for Norway loves to get forward. That's their outside back, already stepping into a midfield position. Both teams play a very similar system, 4-3-3. So getting that outside back forward and who does it more aggressively is going to be critical.
Norway will pick it up. All time they've played the USA 40 times. That's more than they've played any other opponent. USA with a winning record of 20-18-2, winning those last 7 games. Out of play it goes as well. Here's the throw-in for Norway. They've scored more goals in this tournament than the United States. They've given up more as well. Almost fitting if there's going to be a third-place game that it's these 2 rivals who are playing after so many epic battles over the years. Pushed across. This one's going to be knotted down and out of play. Another throw-in for Norway.
What I found so interesting over the years is 40 times the U.S. has played Norway, and the styles have always been so contrasting.
That's Folstad, and now it's put upstairs by Storlokken.
Norway played a very direct, long ball style for years, and after the 2003 Women's World Cup, when the U.S. beat them in the quarterfinals, they said, we need to change, we need to adjust, we need to grow and play a more possession, sophisticated style. And what you're seeing, actually, is in this World Cup, the U.S. assumed more of the Norwegian style, and Norway's been playing on the ground more.
And they'll try to do it here, but it's broken up by the U.S. Here's O'Reilly to the right side. Push back. Rampone playing as a central defender now with Mark Kraft injured. Stepping up Kolubny. She'll fire it, and it's wide.
And here you're going to see Lori Kolubny. Doesn't usually take him from outside like this, but I like that because you haven't seen many midfielders striking shots for the United States.
Coming up in about 20 minutes time, we'll be chatting with former USA women's national team head coach Tony DeCicco from our Bristol studios. He, Rob Stone, and Heather Mitz are standing by. They'll be along at halftime along with a special Hope solo feature. We'll get into that in a minute as this ball is played back. Oh, Dalmy had a chance to play back to Scurry. She goes up the field instead, and that turns out to be Norway's ball now with Storlokken. Stensland broken up. U.S. knocking it down. Knudsen into the box. Headed straight up. Players battling there. 4 players involved. Now it comes out. Lopez clears in the air. Wagner Wambach kept him there. Right side. Christensen. Folstead.
And there's been so much talk about how this team would respond to the Hope comments and not having her in the game, or even having her on the bench present at the game. And I would say in those first 10-15 minutes when they're trying to impose their style, they've done a good job of saying this isn't going to be a distraction for us. We're going to come out here and play.
Only 20 players for the U.S. with Solo not being here, so the backup goalkeeper is Nicole Barnhart. Osborne turning, finding Stephanie Lopez. Lily. Here's Whitehill. Trying to go long. O'Reilly brought it down. No room there. Norway breaks that up. They'll look to play out of it. Husa on the far side. Norway looking for numbers forward. They won't get them. And the USA will clear this ball out. As Kolubny, who scored a terrific goal against Nigeria. That was the game-winning goal. Greg Ryan made that goalkeeping change the other day. Very controversial move. He said today that he still stands by it. Content with the decision that he made. It comes all the way back. Whitehill on the turn. Looks to clear it, and it goes out of play for a Norway throw-in. Stolaken. Osborne. That's a foul, and the U.S. will have a free kick. USA and Norway scoreless in this third-place match from Shanghai. Cross is coming. Never got there. That was Dalby trying to make the play. It'll be a throw in here for the United States deep.
And Christine is waving over to Kat Reddick to take this throw in. And against Brazil, Kat came all the way up to Kat Whitehill. I'm sorry. Kat came all the way up to take a throw in, and it was actually the Brazil counter on that exact throw in for Miga to Cristiano. That was the third goal for the United States. So U.S. needs to do a better job of, if she's coming all the way up, covering that center back position for her.
Flag goes up. They're going to do it again. Going to retake the throw in. From the far side of the field, Whitehill again, out of the University of North Carolina. Another long throw to the near post. U.S. battles. Continues the battle. Lily heads it toward goal. It comes back out. Swept away by Norway. Husa on that far side. The U.S. breaks that up, and they'll lose it. Giveaway to Brunson. Osborne was trying to panic on that right side. U.S. pushing up. O'Reilly right now the lone forward up top, at least at the moment. Now the run, and the flag is up on Wambach. You know, we were talking before about Hope Solo and the controversy. She made some comments the other night after the Brazil game. Let's hear what Hope had to say.
It was the wrong decision, and I think anybody that knows anything about the game knows that. There's no doubt in my mind I would have made those saves, and it's not 2004 anymore. It's not 2004, and it's 2007, and I think you have to live in the present, and you can't live by big names. You can't live in the past. It doesn't matter what somebody did in an Olympic gold medal game in the Olympics 3 years ago. Now is what matters, and that's what I think.
Obviously, Hope Solo very upset the other night after the loss against Brazil. I'm going to talk more about Hope Solo in a minute. This is a special feature coming up at halftime. Here's Heather O'Reilly in the box waiting. Help is coming. It's Kolubny, and it's blocked. Stolaken on that far side of the field. Tapped at by Kolubny. She'll start. Kept it on the ground, leading it. Wambach. Pressure there, taken down. No call. Interesting. Very interesting. Here's Osborne. Outside the box. U.S. looking. That was Lillard.
U.S. having no luck in this World Cup on issues like that. Good series by the United States. Abby gets the ball in the box and a no call. And I won't be surprised if we do not get that replay again, which has been the theme with the FIFA World Feed.
They don't show anything controversial, and we've had some controversy in this cup. Inside it goes. That's a good play by Norby. Lopez nods it down. Kolutny plays it back. USA with 20 players here, not 21. Head coach Greg Ryan has said that the team has moved forward with the 20 players who have stood by each other. He told us earlier today the team is in a good mood, in a good frame of mind, and oddly enough, he thinks that all of this controversy has brought the team maybe a little closer together.
They just showed the replay of the penalty kick, and we can talk Hope Solo, but I think actually that is close to being a penalty kick right there. And again, like you saw against Brazil, when Christian flopped a little bit, when the players sell it a little bit, the referee's tendency is not to give it to them, but I do think that should have been a penalty kick call.
Norway looking to clear it out. Still looking to Husa. Holding it there. 19th minute. And that's going to be blocked. Free kick coming up for Norway.
And going back to Hope's comments, you know, whether you disagree or agree with Coach Ryan's decision, and many disagree, and I disagree with the decision to switch goalkeepers. As a player, regardless of how upset you are, you just cannot. You cannot. It's the cardinal rule, and it doesn't even need to be spoken. You don't go after a player.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even go after a coach in that situation. You walk past the mix zone, the media area, and you keep walking. And it's unfortunate that in 30 seconds, you know, all of a sudden the heat is off Coach Ryan for that decision, and everyone's talking about Hope Solo, and not in a positive way, obviously.
So Ryan is going to go with the 20 that he feels comfortable with, and Hope Solo watching this game, we were told, on television here.
And I spoke to Hope earlier today, and
we'll pick up on it as it's crossed in. Header is wide of Scurry.
Good opportunity for Norway, though, finding a gap in between Whitehill and Rampone. Perfectly placed ball in here, and it needs to be better marking for the United States in there. You can see the gap for Veek. And going back to the conversation with Hope, I said, you know, looking back on these 48 hours, do you regret that you said it? And she said, no question, without doubt. And I can only hope in time that the team will heal, and that I'm living with shame and regret right now. And those are hard feelings to deal with. And she said, you know, I wish I would handled it differently. I didn't see it breaking up the team. And she said all the right things. The question is how the team is going to respond to it. Obviously, this is not something we've ever on the United States team had to deal with. You just never have had a player do that.
This one into the box, cut back, and Norby's right there. Coming up at halftime, a different side of that Hope Solo story, a feature on Hope, her unusual upbringing, her thoughts on her late father, a deeper look at the person and her possible feelings that might have led to this week's public outburst, giving you another side of that story coming up at halftime. Here's Lopez.
And, you know, there's people who said, look, she just lost her father, and, you know, emotionally times are hard, and I agree with that. But again, you know, you had people saying to her, whatever you do before the game, don't say anything still.
Scurry will put it back into play. Less than 10 minutes. We'll bring in Coach Tony DeCicco from our Bristol, Connecticut studios. Julie and I here in Shanghai, enjoying a very comfortable night temperature-wise compared to the other night when they said it was in the 80s, but I think they lied to us.
I think I lost 10 pounds just standing there that night.
It felt like Phoenix in the daytime. Lopez over the top. Folstad trying to chase down O'Reilly. No match for her speed, but O'Reilly needed some help. Wasn't there. Christensen in the middle. The pass was for Stenson. It's turned back. O'Reilly. O'Reilly still has it. Plays it back. Lopez. Stepped on there. Storlucken.
And such a better rhythm for the United States. And if I'm Norway in these first 20 minutes, you're thinking about, I've got to put more pressure on the ball defensively. It reminds me actually of the 2000 Olympics. We played Norway in the final, and we were just able to move it around the park and all day time, you know, and time and space on the ball. And second half, that changed dramatically. And this has actually been a problem for Norway. They've been unable to string a consecutive 90 minutes together. They play flat one half, they turn it around the second half, or they started great against Germany and were unable to continue that pressure in the second half. And maybe that's what they discussed, is we started too high pressure against Germany, and we burned all the fuel in that first half. So they're playing a more low pressure style today.
Walmart plays it back. Wagner's pass, the touch failed. Norway will get it back. This is where the World Cup started, when Germany beat Argentina 11-0, and we saw the heavy rains and Typhoon Weaver that did a lot of damage, so they had to resod this entire field. And right now the stadium and the field looks very good. They played some 6 games on it. We had double headers, and you wondered how the field would hold up. So it was good that they did what they did in time. And ever since the rains of the beginning of this tournament, it's been pretty dry here.
It was a mess even before WIFA, so it looks great. Usually you see seams with new sods. I don't even see that. Bermuda grass is so fun to play on because it's very fast.
Turning is Gulbrandsen. Left side, Storlucken. 24th minute, USA and Norway scoreless here. Osborne, this is the 3rd place match. Lifted ahead. And Norway, with a little confusion back there, swept away by Christensen to Husa. Pressured by Lilly. And Lilly stays on her. Christine Lilly, the oldest player to score in a World Cup at age 36, scored that goal against England. Kept on the ground. Wambach tried to leave it. No help close enough. And now here's Norway with a big hole. Huge gap. We'll try to take advantage of it with numbers going forward. 6 players on the attack. Ragnhild Gulbrandsen leads it. That's a miscue there. They had numbers and don't even get into the offensive third, really. Christine Lilly up for Wambach. Abby just played in her 100th international match the other night against England. Scored a goal in that game as well. Here's the cross. And that's wide of Nordby. It'll go out of play for a goal kick for 33-year-old Bente Nordby.
And a good look at Marion Dalmy there, number 2 for the United States, only playing in her 3rd cap, 2nd World Cup game ever. A big loss for the United States without Kate Markgraf running that back line for them. A big leader in the back. High sprain, which are painful injuries.
This is the 3rd place match. The final will follow this, and because the 2 games are on the same day, back to back, if this one goes, if this one's tied after 90 minutes, there will be no overtime, but it would be straight to penalty kicks. And we saw that in the 1999 Women's World Cup when Brazil beat this Norway team. Dalmy to the right. Kalupni's pass. It was for Lilly. Norway will take it back and look to break. It's a different looking Norway side, as Julie had mentioned before. Before it was just all long ball, bigger players, stronger players, but now a lot of creative players that like to keep the ball on the ground and attack.
I remember talking to Coach Berntsen and the Norwegian coach in July when they were in the United States, and he was talking about this possession style, and I was like, I don't even know this Norway team anymore. Possession, they used to launch it to their 8-foot tall forwards.
And talking to his players, they love that concept.
He says the system in Norway right now, we have much more technical players coming through, and we needed to evolve the game with the players.
Here's O'Reilly leading it. Lilly. Help is coming. Outside Wambach, the cross off the left foot. Nordby lets it go. Kalupni's over there on the far side. One against 2. Didn't matter. She got it free. But shot taken is blocked. Out for a corner. Second one was off O'Reilly's foot. The shot was. Christensen knocked it out.
And Heather O'Reilly trying to take it with her left foot. Good block by Norway, but you're seeing a U.S. that looks more confident, calmer on the ball. All things that had been eluding them in prior games of this World Cup.
Lily will take this corner, putting it up for Wambach. She got to it, but it's headed wide. Still scoreless here in Shanghai. That's Jarne Berntsen, Norway's head coach. Never coached the women in his previous coaching career, always a men's team, and he's a former Norway international.
I like his style too. He's got a very organized team.
Third place record. USA has won the only 2 times that they've been in it. Other 2 times they won the championship. So it seems like it's feast or famine for the U.S. They either win it or this is the game they play in. Brought back by Gulbrandsen. Stensland. Storlocken. A lot of room there. Kolutny. She worked so hard. She closed that gap, but she did foul. But the effort is always there. That's an incredible yellow card.
I was just going to say, I actually think that foul is unfair. She bumps her early. Okay, that's a good call. She did bump her, but I'm not convinced that's a yellow card. There's some harsh cards flying around for the United States. We talked earlier about the Shannon Box second yellow against Brazil, and that actually should have gone, if anyone, to the Brazilian player who put up her hand. Christian put up her hand to the referee like, please don't card me. It was an accident. I tripped her and clipped her. 5 yellow cards for the USA in that last game. Uncharacteristic. Here's a long shot over Brianna Scurry. We'll have a goal kick. Brian getting her 2nd straight start for the United States in goal. She shared some news with you earlier this morning about the Olympics for next year. I saw her at the team hotel as well, and I said, Bri, is this it for you? Is this the last game? And she says, I said, you want to come back for the Olympics? Oh yeah, I do, with a big grin.
She still has that competitive spirit. Had a big smile today. The players have been very cooperative during all this time here. You know they're disappointed. You know they're upset. But they've been good. Here's O'Reilly. Trying to cut inside. Nice battle there. Shoulder to shoulder. O'Reilly's cross. She'll get a corner kick for the United States, their 3rd.
Exactly what Coach Ryan wants to see out of a Heather O'Reilly. Taking on, getting in the box, 1v1 duels. She's got the speed to beat most players and comes up with the corner kick. Again, the July game, U.S. beat Norway 1-0 in Hartford, and it was off a corner kick, a short one.
Here is Stephanie Lopez. And this is over. She goes back to school. University of Portland. Up there. Norby knocked it out. Right up the middle. Kolutny shot. Deflected in. I believe that's Wambach or Wagner in front. Somebody took a deflection. And the U.S. leads.
Exactly what you want the person on top of your box to do, the player. Bente Norway does well to get this out of her box, and perfect ball by Kolutny. You just want to get it on the frame and hope exactly for this, a deflection. There's just too much traffic in the way for Norby to get a hand on that ball, and Abby did a great job to
backheel deflection.
Redirect it.
So Abby Wambach back on the board. 16 goals now in her last 16 games, and it's her 5th of this tournament. 8th career World Cup goal, tying her with Mia Hamm. Of course, Michelle Akers still has the high mark for the U.S. at 12. Norway looking. Coming back is Dalmy, sweeping it away. So we'll see how important that first goal is for the United States.
And Kolutny did well because she had pressure, a Norwegian defender pressing on her. And the goal of that is, again, just to get it on the face and hope for a deflection.
Left there. And that's Dalmy who broke it up. Marion Dalmy will try to clear it upfield. Wagner's up, heading it down. Horpestad played it back.
And what a big goal for the United States, because there's been so much talk again about how they would deal with this controversy and the media swirling around them. And to be able to respond with a goal in that first half, big confidence boost.
Tony DeChico from our Bristol, Connecticut studios. You're watching this. You've heard about the controversy obviously all week. How is the team playing in the midst of all that controversy?
Well, for the first time, JP, I think the team is looking like what we expect from the U.S. team. They're knocking the ball around. They're finding the feet of the front runners and then laying balls off and then looking for a player in and behind the defense. I think Wagner has been a positive addition here. But I think they need to pick up the pace of the game. The pace is a game where I think Norway can hang in there a little bit. And I think with their a little bit more defensive pressure, they can pick up the pace of this game. And I think Norway would struggle with a higher pace game.
Is part of this, Tony, when you say pressure, part of this is the USA come into this one a little bit lighter in terms of the pressure because they've already been theoretically eliminated from this World Cup. Are they playing like that to you?
No, I'm not talking about mental pressure. I'm talking about physical pressure with their defense, putting the Norwegians under more pressure defensively so that the pace of the game picks up. I think that once it picks up, the U.S. will get even more of the game.
Another foul is called. Sorry, Coach, I didn't hear the end of your last comment, but let's talk about the future of this team. The Olympics are around the corner. What do they need to do?
Well, I still think this team needs some healing from this event. And I think they have to look at some different personnel. I think we saw from the Brazilian game that the quickness was clearly all Brazil. I think we need to look at some quicker options, some players more confident with the ball that can escape pressure and not just pass away from pressure. I think the two ways you deal with pressure is you escape it individually and you pass away using your teammates. And right now I don't see enough of the individual escape artist from pressure, and that the U.S. needs to find some of those players.
Tony, thanks for your time. We'll chat with you in the second half.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tone.
Kolobny will bring it up. O'Reilly has been very aggressive tonight offensively. Saw a lot of these USA players, and as the coach mentioned, haven't seen that really in this tournament. My thought to him, we misunderstood each other on the pressure thing. I meant, Julie, is the pressure off them so they're playing a little freer.
I don't think necessarily, because coming in, the U.S. has never walked away without a medal. So I think that's tremendous pressure. Is you, again, do not want to be compared to past teams. This team is the first to walk away, not only with the 4-0 loss, but without medaling.
Whitehill strikes it, and that one's going way up over Nordby.
And I think that plays on the back of their mind a lot. They've constantly been compared to past teams, and also don't want this controversy to be the only topic talked about at this World Cup.
Coming up, 7 a.m. World Cup Live, and you've got Brazil versus Germany, which should be a great final. You got a chance to see Marta, 7 goals for her. Birgit Prinz, who was the Golden Boot and Golden Ball winner in 2003. And I think most people feel that Marta is going to win both this time.
Wow, what a player. You watch that second goal she scored against the United States, and I could watch that over and over again. And in fact, many have on YouTube.
140,000 hits, we were told, on YouTube. And I have no idea what they normally get, but that sounded impressive to us. Here's Lily. Looking, shooting low, and that stopped. Nordby is right there. She's been involved in so many of these epic games against the United States.
And that is epic, Christine Lilly. Speaking of epic, is she cuts it in to her left foot, favored left foot. Good positioning by Nordby, and just doesn't get enough on it. But when you go back to Marta, 21 years old, that's what amazes me. 10 World Cup games, sorry, 9 Women's World Cup games, 10 goals at 21. If you look at all the other players who have played, all over the world, the highest at 21 is 3 goals, 21 years old.
And the best is yet to come from Marta. You will see her later on this morning back in the United States. Of course, evening time here in Shanghai, 12 hours different from East Coast time, so it's nighttime here in Shanghai.
And I'm a little surprised with Norwegian's low-pressure stance. The U.S. having some success because they can't get any pressure on the ball. And perhaps at halftime that will be a tactic they change. Let's go 45 minutes of high pressure and rattling the Americans a little bit.
Osborne has room and a little time. Cutting, looking, leading for Lilly. Christine Lilly on the right flank. Others joining the attack for the U.S. Lilly with a step over, or two or three. Then the shot by Lilly. Oh, that would have been spectacular. Still 1-0. The United States on top. Here's Rob Stone in the studio.
Well, JP, for those who are slamming Hope Solo and her recent words, you're going to want to stick around for halftime. An emotional piece on Hope Solo and her relationship with her deceased father. Her outburst may have been wrong, but I guarantee you your stance will be softened once you learn the symbolism that U.S.-Brazil game represented for her. And Julie, I know you saw this feature and it put a lump in your throat.
Nordby will put this one back into play. Up over the halfway line. Here's Wambach leading it. Quick shot, Lilly. A diving Nordby was in the full dive, but it was just wide.
You can tell Christine Lilly wanted this last game to be a better one for the United States. So involved in this half, and again on that favored left foot. Bente so good with her positioning. Bente Nordby playing in her 5th World Cup. Only 2 players actually to have been in 5 World Cups going against each other. Christine Lilly playing in all 5 and Bente appearing in all 5.
That pass by Domi is blocked. U.S. trying to get it back. Everybody standing around as Kolubny wins it. 39th minute. USA leading in this 3rd place match on Abby Wambach's 5th goal of this World Cup. And right now, she's down. Play is continuing. Into the box it goes. O'Reilly, down she goes. But she's not going to get that call.
I just had flashbacks to the North Korea game when Abby got hit in the back of the head with blood dripping down in stitches. And this is the quick set piece. I don't think you're going to get that call. I agree with you.
Classic case, though, of 2 players holding on to each other. I mean, who would you call it on? They're both hanging on.
I think you just let it play.
And she did. Our referee Gal is from Hungary. We've seen her earlier in the tournament. Nordby will put it back into play. For a long time, she was considered one of the world's top goalkeepers. Just the one shutout in this tournament against China. But she's been a staple for Norway for all this time. Storlokken. Knutsen. Folstad puts it up there. Scory's coming out. Punching it out straight ahead. Sent right back in, but it's wide. You can see Bry is so much more aggressive here tonight than she was against Brazil. And I think part of that is just getting into a game.
Well, part of the goalkeeping decision that baffled so many people is Brianna Scurry had only started in 7 games of the 50 under Coach Ryan. So clearly Hope Solo was Coach Ryan's #1 goalkeeper. And then to make the switch without being played in game-wise, it's so different than just a player on the field. For goalkeepers, they need game time. You got to get the rhythm and communication with your back line.
Scurry with 164 appearances for her country, 126 wins, and it's her 4th World Cup. A couple of gold medals she's won for her team, and of course the great final she had in '99. And she's back in goal.
I think probably every single game I played for the United States, I remember hugging Bry after and saying thank you.
The Husa pass. Room here for Folstad. Early cross, maybe too early. USA got back with Osborne. Off another deflection. Norway looking to settle. Knutsen back to Folstad. Another cross, an inviting one. Scoring off the line, but the flag's up. No goal. flag is up. Offside. That's Ragnhild Gulbrandsen, who leads Norway with 5 goals in this tournament. We've got a USA player down in that collision.
And you're not going to see the service in, so you cannot tell if it's offsides. But what you are going to see is Brianna Scurry, just what we talked about. One of the things about not playing is your timing, and she's coming a little late for that ball. So Gulbrandsen able to get it on net. If you're going to come as a keeper, you got to get something, a glove on that ball. And here's the play in. And offsides, good call by the referee.
Scurry came out and clocked Kolupny. Kolupny is the player down. So many great battles, Julie, over the years between these two sides. I think the one you remember the most, probably in a negative way, was 1995. That flashback, you remember how Norway celebrated?
Dear, yeah, I still wake up to cold sweats to that. The centipede celebration. Actually, when they won that game, the semifinal, we sat there and watched them do that celebration as we're crying, and I'm watching that, and I remember we huddled together and we said, never again. April, actually, Coach Heinrich sat there. She was the assistant at the time. She said, never again do you sit there and watch that celebration, because you're going to be on the other side of it. And we carried that with us from 95 until the 96 Olympics. And interestingly enough, and we had a picture of it as we'd walk out of our apartment door every day to training. I mean, it was something that was marked in your head. And interestingly enough, I'm watching the Brazilians celebrate in the semifinal match and dancing, and it brought back these great flashbacks. Not great, these flashbacks of Norway doing that. And Christine Lilly said to me after the game, and not only did they do it on the field, they carried it into the hotel with, you know, all the family and friends there, and they're doing it in front of us with the drums and the samba dance. And you know, those are the things, with only a year to go with the Olympics, that this U.S. team will think about for 365 days, actually less.
Fourth corner kick for the United States. They're up by a goal. Kolupny, by the way, did come back on the field, which is good news for the U.S. This one punched away by Nordby. I mean, you could say that Wambach has been the USA's best player throughout this World Cup, and maybe a close second is Kolupny, as this one is stopped by Bente Nordby. A lot of things happening at halftime, including a special side of Hope Solo in that story, a feature on Hope, her upbringing, her thoughts on her dad, a deeper look at the person who created all kinds of news this week in the USA soccer world, with the critical comments that were aimed at her coach, but actually affected Brianna Scurry as well. But a different side of Hope Solo, you will see it at halftime.
What was so amazing about Solo's comments were it really went at Scurry. It really attacked her. It wasn't just, hey, you know, I could have made those saves, which in itself indirectly does, but you know, this isn't 2004.
Right.
This isn't about years past, and that wasn't a Scurry decision to go on goal.
No. I think what she meant to say was that you can live in the past, but that was directed at her coach, and it did not come out that way.
Right. She said that on the phone today. I did not mean to take a stab at Scurry.
At a legend. Here's O'Reilly running it down against Horpestad. O'Reilly played it across. Can't say enough about the way O'Reilly has played here in this first half. All attack-minded. Here's Lilly inside the box, looking across, and she does. Nordby got caught. Almost knocked that one in. Lilly had her all twisted.
Very good save by Bente Nordby, and you're seeing what happens when the U.S. possesses the ball is the forwards get so much more involved. Heather O'Reilly, Abby Wambach, Christine Lilly, so many shots on goal today.
A minute into stoppage time. Stolokin, USA trying to take this lead into the locker room at halftime. Wambach looking, leaving it.
What a big save by Nordby in the 45th minute. You go in at 1-0, things are okay. Going in at 2-0 is a much different halftime talk.
Lilly, look at that move. She still has it. And now in the end, knocked away by Stensland. Another throw in for the United States. Waiting for the final whistle to end this first half. First of 2 games today on our network. Germany-Brazil in the final coming up after this.
And so easy to knock that into your own goal. Nordby's always been known for her great positioning and did very well to get to that one, because Christine tried to place it in that back post.
That's going to do it. We're at the half, and Abby Wambach has the game's only goal after this break. A different look at Hope Solo, the goalkeeper who caused so much controversy this week for the USA national team. Keep it here.
World-class soccer is on ESPN. Women's World
is presented by Nike, proud sponsor of the greatest team you've never heard of.
Playing for pride and without Hope Solo on the bench or the field for the U.S., the state's up 1-0 at the break. Well, 4 days ago, outside of hardcore U.S. soccer fans, who really knew the name Hope Solo? That has certainly changed. Whether you agree with or criticize her comments from her benching at the Brazil game, sit back, listen to the story, and maybe your stance will be softened as you further understand the emotions behind that rant. Chris Connolly with the story.
I love my dad. I was always daddy's little girl.
He is big-hearted, big-hearted. He loved his kids very much, and the kids, they were close.
Hope Solo's father, Jeffrey, was her first soccer coach. Yet he was an enigma, a Vietnam veteran with a past he would not divulge. As his marriage to Hope's mother was crumbling, he absconded from their Richland, Washington home with 7-year-old Hope and her brother Marcus.
They knew that they were going to get a divorce, and I think my dad wanted to have one last hoorah with us, so he took us.
He was always good to the kids. I wasn't worried in that aspect. I was more worried of maybe not ever seeing him again or something.
I knew, oh gosh, my mom's going to be worried about us. You know, we shouldn't be here, but I was having so much fun. I loved my dad.
For days, while police searched for him, Jeffrey Solo showed his children the sights of Seattle.
I think we're coming back from the Space Needle, and we stopped down by the bank. That's when SWAT team busted in and arrested him.
My brother and I are scared to death, and we watched my dad get put into in the back of the police car and taken away.
Down at the jail, my father gave us each a $100 bill and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to see you guys for a long time, and I love you." And it was pretty hard on us.
Hope's father would vanish from her life, reappearing years later, first in letters, then on the sidelines of her high school games. He was homeless, living in a tent in the wilderness, and Hope was playing for the University of Washington when they finally reconnected as father and daughter.
We'd meet at his spot in the woods and sit for hours and eat macaroni and cheese and drink some juice and soda and just sit in his tent. And he was incredibly happy in this tent. I'll never forget that. I've learned more from him than I have anybody in my life. And to question his lifestyle is probably the exact opposite of what he's taught me, to never judge anybody, to really find somebody's soul and connect with them.
But from the time Hope was named the starting goalie for the United States in 2005, he had not seen her play in person, representing the U.S., just as he had done. By now living in a VA retirement home, he made plans to travel to the New York area for her game against Brazil on June 23rd.
My dad was going to show us where he grew up in the Bronx. And I really, really believe that this is a trip that would open up a lot of doors about my dad's history, about his past. And I think that's what my dad wanted. I think he finally wanted to give that to his kids.
That's all we could talk about was this trip to New York and to see his old stomping grounds and to see his daughter play soccer, and it just meant the world to him.
But just 8 days before the game, Jeffrey Solo died of a heart attack at the age of 69.
When everything happened, on June 15th when my father passed, I didn't know how I was going to deal with it. I didn't know if I could deal with it.
Jeffrey Solo may have taken his secrets to the grave, but his daughter's love would never die. Along with her brother, Hope decided to honor her father by spreading his ashes in Central Park and outside Yankee Stadium, and keeping his memory close to her always.
I do feel like he's with me every time I walk on the field, and I'm no longer playing for myself. I'm no longer playing for my teammates. You know, I'm playing for my father, and that's it.
Great story, and we try to move on from that very moving piece. And the three of us, Tony DeChico, Heather Mitz, Rob Stone, all agree that not having Solo a part of the team today, at least, is a good decision as long as the team was comfortable with that. Where do we go from here, though?
Well, I think that you're right. Hope's Solo is suspended for one game, but she's still part of this team. She's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and you need to heal and move forward, and I can't imagine her not being part of the USA team as they move forward.
Definitely, and I talked to Hope twice after this game, and I think that, you know, for her, this is a very emotional time, and I think that, like she said at the end, she wasn't playing for herself, she wasn't playing for her teammates anymore, she's playing for her father. So she wanted to be in that game, and I think her feelings were very hurt, and I think the issue really was between her and Greg Ryan, not Brian Oscuri, and that's what she was so upset about, was that things were misconstrued, and she said, it's never against my teammates, it's about me and it's about my father.
And let's not lose the symbolism that that Brazilian game represented. She was supposed to start the U.S.-Brazil game in June, that her father was supposed to see her at in New York, and then she gets benched for that Brazil game. I mean, you know the emotions were connected to really that team and to that match. I think that's what really hit her so hard as well, on top of everything else. It has not been an easy tournament for Hope Solo or the entire U.S. team, but they are showing a lot of pride and a lot of fight here today in Shanghai. Up 1-0 at the break. Abby Wambach getting cheeky with the back heel goal. We will see you post-game with complete U.S. reacts.
This halftime report is presented by Nike.
Welcome back, everyone, to Shanghai in our third place match. USA leading by the score of 1-0. We just saw Christy Rampone go toward the sideline, and now Tina Ellison's going to replace her. And before this all happens, Julie, let's get your final thought on the Hope Solo situation. Terrific feature at halftime. I know you sat down with her for that, but you've talked to players. What was the feeling?
Well, the players, and it wasn't just one or two players, it was team-wide. They were all together in the fact that that was something that should have never been said, and felt that they wanted to make a statement in a way that they were unified, the 20, and that what she did was wrong. It wasn't about her, it wasn't about even the coach at that moment. It just should have been kept within the team. So, you know, whether people disagree or not on if she should have come to the game, the team said, look, we just felt it would be less of a distraction.
Here's U.S. looking for a killer goal here. Knocked away. Norby may have gotten hurt in that collision with her teammate, Stensland. That was a tough collision.
But very upset, and a lot of the players, obviously. You don't want to ever see a teammate attacked. Going back to the Rampone switch, she actually was on the field and ran over to the sidelines, shaking her head like she wasn't feeling well.
Yeah. That was the puzzling part because they didn't make the sub. They're ready to kick off almost. Here's Lopez corner. Whitehill knocked in by Wambach. 2-0 U.S. She has two.
Great start for the United States, and Abby showing that the team is unified with that celebration, going over to the bench and congratulating them. And the U.S., no one even marking up on Kat Whitehill. And again, I'm surprised. Norway looks a little flat to me, and the U.S. doing a very good job of capitalizing on it.
Abby Wambach with her 6th goal of this World Cup, 9th of her career. I was about to say, you know, you finally see the smiles back, which is a plus, but then I noticed the same thing that you did. She went right to the subs bench and shared in that celebration. We haven't seen them play like this or show that emotion throughout this World Cup. Wambach chasing this one down, far side, the cross, up too high. It's a goal kick.
And you actually heard Coach Ryan remark on that. He says every match it's been like on the edge and tight and, you know, fighting for our lives with the Korea match. And I wanted them to come out and just play more relaxed. You're seeing a much more relaxed United States team. And maybe because, JP, it isn't for the final game. But again, so much to prove with a medal tonight.
U.S. chasing back. Norway needing one to get themselves back into this third-place match. Down by 2. Right side cross is blocked. Here it comes. Scurry's there, and she's got it. Boy, Bry looks so much different tonight than she did the other night. What a difference one game can make, just to get the feel of the ball and feel of a game situation. More aggressive now off of her line than we saw the other night.
And to be fair to Bry, that was such a tough first goal, that own goal with Osborne coming back towards her goal. And, you know, people say maybe Bry could have come off her line and called her off of it. Even Bry said it. You know, maybe I should have called her off of it, but she was already going for the ball, and it's hard to call a player off when they're already in full stride.
U.S. will get the ball back. Here's what's at stake for the United States. They've never finished lower than third in a World Cup. They've won a couple of previous third-place games. Won, of course, 2 titles. No one else has won 2 Women's World Cup titles. Germany will try to join the USA in that category if they can beat Brazil in the final. That should be a terrific game that we have coming up. Marta versus Birgit Prins and so many other great stars.
2 of my favorite players, Marta and Prins. Prins was phenomenal against Norway. And you're seeing just a different Norwegian team today. In that first half against Germany, they were pressing and they were attacking and they were holding the ball. They just seem to be on their heels today and flat.
Ball be played back to Nordby. Looking ahead, that should be a tight final, you would think. Germany hasn't allowed a goal in their last 507 minutes. That's going back to 2003. That's a record. So not giving up a goal yet. And these are the 2 teams that have scored the most goals in this tournament. So we'll see what gives coming up in our championship match. And the winner also, for the first time, some prize money. $1 million going to the winner. This is the first time that FIFA has awarded prize money. It's still shockingly low. 6.4 involved in all, but it's a start.
And boy, could Brazil use that.
I don't know. They're doing okay without it, aren't they?
Well, except that they don't play for 3 years. That's
right.
The amazing story. They literally didn't play after the Olympics for 2 years solid. And yet you see them together like they've been playing for every day together.
Up that right side, here's Wambach with both USA goals. She did that against Sweden, had the 2 scores in a 2-0 USA win. Up that right side. Now into the middle. Gulbrandsen. That's Solveig. She'll let it rip. Scurry. That was a tough one. She kept it in front of her, though, and held on.
And here's a good look at the playmaker and engine for Norway in the midfield, Solveig Gulbrandsen. You're not going to score on Brianna Scurry from that distance. It's going to be very difficult.
Christensen up to the halfway line. Kolupny breaking that up, and here goes Kolupny, keeping it on the ground. Wambach, a nice back heel. Lilly shooting off the left foot, but it's right at Nordby. USA leading on 2 Wambach goals. That's Ellertson heading it forward. Taken back by Stensland. Stolokin couldn't get it through. It's broken up nicely by Dalmy. And that's cleared between the benches.
And there was a lot of talk from Coach Ryan about Ali Wagner only able to go 30 to 45 minutes. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at a replay like that when the referee gets taken out.
No, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
But
That's
it's okay.
so rude. But you're seeing her staying in the second half, which is a great surprise. They were worried they wouldn't even get her through the first half. And it begs the question, should Coach earlier on her? A lot of the training staff was saying she could only go 30 minutes, and he was hesitant because he didn't want to have to do a double substitution.
We asked him about that this morning, because in the Brazil game you would have thought maybe she would have been needed when they went down to 10 players, but not if you have to double sub. Must say this about Greg Ryan. We talked to him today. Total class, He's handled all of this controversy with dignity. He spoke to us today, still a smile on his face, still very positive, and other coaches I know would have said no meeting. It's a third-place game. So we thank him for that, to U.S. Soccer Communications and Aaron Heifetz also for making him available to us. He was very candid. I asked him point blank, do you expect to coach in next year's Olympics? And he said, if I were the president, yes. But of course that's out of his hands. His contract goes to the end of this year, and one would think, Julie, if a decision is made, it's going to be made quickly with the Olympics around the corner. Either way.
Less than 1 year, and Sunil Gulati and Dan Flynn will look at this World Cup and evaluate decisions and how this program is progressing, the style of play. You're seeing these final 4 teams, 3 of the 4 have played a much more possession style attack, where U.S. Soccer wants to go with that.
6th corner, U.S. Soccer. They're looking for another one with Kalupny. That's taken away.
As a player, I've always preferred the possession style myself. That was almost like deja vu with Kalupny on top of the box again. And Norway has to be careful with these set pieces because they're not marking well, and U.S. is getting a lot of players free. Kat Whitehill, you saw on the last U.S. goal.
Offside on Lilly, as the U.S. was looking for a third. As you watch the offside, speaking of thirds for the United States, Abby Wambach had a previous 2-goal game, couldn't get the hat trick. Not many for the USA in World Cup history. You have to go back to 1991 in China. Michelle Akers, how about scoring 5 goals in that game? And then Karen Jennings, now Karen Jennings-Gabarra, also scoring 3 in a game against Germany. Akers was against Chinese Taipei. Had a few hat tricks also in this Women's World Cup, but not by USA players. Birgit Prinz, Sandra Smizik, Ragnhild Gulbrandsen all coming to mind. Many 2-goal games. Here's Dalmy to the right for Wagner, still gutting it out. Giske is up by the 4th official. She will become Norway's first sub.
That front line of the United States in 1991 with Jennings and Akers and April Heinrichs was phenomenal. And you talk about those hat tricks, and I have flashbacks, you know, Michelle Akers scoring 10 goals in that World Cup.
Back then, players like Mia Hamm, Christine Lilly, and yourself were more supporting players, right? When you think about it, those 3 got
I was like
all
the
hype.
water girl on that team, I think, actually. And those players don't get the due credit they deserve for the foundation they built for the national team. I mean, before anyone paid attention to the national team, and U.S. team in particular, they're just legends.
Still locked in for Norway. Down by a pair against the United States. Lead pass too far. Cut off there by Dalmy. USA has had their backline play together throughout this Women's World Cup, but it started off today differently with Markgraf out with an injury, and now at halftime Rampone came out, so a lot of youth back there. The veteran is Kat Whitehill, and she's only 25. Wagner went down as this ball is intercepted. It's too slow for Norway. Kalupny, who reads the play well. Kalupny, no pressure on her. Maybe she needed some. That seemed to be an easier cross than it ended up.
Kalupny's mobility and defensive presence, offensively her mobility and her defensive presence has been phenomenal this World Cup. You said earlier you thought behind Abby she was the 2nd best player for the United States, and being in her very first World Cup, she's had a tremendous one.
She's had 5 full 90s coming into this one. And she was the player, if I remember right, that you said, if we were talking about unsung players before the World Cup started, who might step for the U.S., her name would always come up.
And she reminds me a lot of Christine Lilly, where Christine was just grinding it out all the time and never received the credit for that. I see a lot of that in Kalupny.
Norway may be changing formations on us here because Folstad is a defender coming out. Madeline Giske is anything but. She's listed as a forward. Her father was a former Norway international player. So expect 3 in the back, probably a 3-4-3 for Norway as they try to get back into this game.
And you could see the brace on Folstad's knee. They weren't even sure she would be able to go today. She twisted her knee in the German game.
Lindsay Tarpley, by the way, is up for the United States. She did not play in that last game against Brazil. Wambach Still has it. Played it inside. Off the face of Wagner. Then Kolupny. Another goal for the U.S. Allie may have taken one for the team with that hit, but the U.S. scores their third goal.
And Abby does well on the inline. The deflection, 2 deflections, one off Allie Wagner and the second one off the Norwegian defender. And for the first time in a long time, a little U.S. luck that goes their way.
Well, this is what they were hoping for in a game like this. Not a close game, not a tight game, but a game to express themselves, a game to score some goals, and that's what they've done here, up 3.
And I think Allie Wagner in the midfield has helped the United States. I mean, this type of game is her game where there's more time and space, but still an attacking central midfielder that's helping them hold the ball better.
Has this been their best game in terms of possession?
I definitely think so. You saw it in the second half against England. They finally said, as a team, we felt confident and better, and then the goalkeeper switch scenario happened, and everything was, again, the focus was taken off them and put on Brazil and Coach Ryan in the goalkeeper situation.
Well, Allie Wagner's day is done. Replaced by Lindsay Tarpley. And you get the feeling that they must have talked at halftime to know how much that she had left. But she went longer than anyone thought. Based on what we were hearing, here's a quick shot. Nice foot save. Rebound there for Tarpley. And then another goal for the U.S. I think that was O'Reilly, though, that got it.
And you can see the smiles of the player. Again, this is a set piece that they run off of Abby's head. Tarpley does well to stay on it, and it's actually that second effort by Lindsay Tarpley that keeps the ball bobbling around off of Norby's hands. And good persistence by that front line, having that goal surrounded. You call it sealing off that goal and anticipating it. Heather O'Reilly does well to stay with that ball, and Lindsay Tarpley as well. And it's nice finally to see some smiles from the U.S. players.
They were teammates in North Carolina, competing really for one job in this team. O'Reilly with a couple of goals now had that one against the North Koreans and then this one, but she deserved one tonight because I think this is the best game she's had in the tournament.
I think especially that first 30 minutes you saw her streaking down that inline quite a bit.
Scurry comes to get to that ball. Up 4-0. And Bry will put it back into place at age 36. She was the oldest goalkeeper to play in a Women's World Cup semifinal the other night against Brazil. And if you missed it earlier, she had told Julie this morning she wants to come back for the Olympics 2008, which will be in Beijing next summer.
If you're Norway and the Norwegian coach, you got to be disappointed in this. Granted, this game means nothing, and some people say, why do they play it? But it means a tremendous amount in terms of pride, and has always been that way for the United States. You're disappointed you lost the final, but you want to come back and show that you can play better. And as we said earlier, the U.S. has never walked away with the 4th place finish. And it just seemed to me today that Norway isn't interested and flat. And
the U.S. is anything but that. Lily on the side, broken up.
And I give the players tremendous credit for in the midst of all of that's been happening and the chaos of the last few days with the solo comments, being focused enough to come out and put on a performance.
Norway's going to make a switch. Guro Knutsen will come in. The sister of Maria Knutsen. What an offensive explosion today for the United States. 4 goals in this one. 2 by Wambach, 1 by Kolupny, and 1 by Heather O'Reilly. And it all started in the 30th minute with Abby Wambach getting her 5th career, or her 5th goal of this World Cup, and her 8th in her career. And of course, 6th goal, 9th of her career later. Good start to the second half for the U.S., but right now they almost give up a good chance. Knocked out for a corner. First one for Norway. Stenstrom will come over to take it. That was Melissa Beek. Not a factor in this one. A good goal scorer, but has hardly had the ball today.
And typically in the past, when you have a set piece against Norway, you're shaking because they have 8-foot-tall players out there, or what seem to be 8-foot-tall players out there. But this is a different look of a team. Much more technical, less direct than the Norways of past.
Christensen to Husa. 63rd minute. This is the third place match. USA up 4-0. Headed up, and a goal for Norway. Ragnhild Gudbrandsson has scored her 6th goal of this World Cup.
And of course, right when I say that they've lost their strength in the air, Ragnhild Gudbrandsson shows why she has 6 goals at this World Cup. Many of them coming just like this. Brianna Scurry off her line a little bit, and Gudbrandsson does well to get that on frame. Bry caught off her line a little bit, but give Gudbrandsson credit. That's a very good goal.
Yeah, she put it upstairs on her. What a tournament for her. She scored the 500th goal in Women's World Cup history when she had the hat-trick against Ghana. And now gets Norway's first here. But they're still down big.
And it's too bad she came over to play for the Boston Breakers in the WSA. And it's too bad that she was injured at the time and we didn't get to see the full force of Gudbrandsson.
Crowd is chanting for Norway. Trying to pick them up a little bit. Go for the underdog. It's a 4-1 game right now. Wambach with a couple. Kalupny and O'Reilly for the U.S. And, of course, Ragnhild Gudbrandsson right there for the Norwegians. Tarpley dead in that ball. Gudbrandsson, by the way, is off on the sideline. Right at the halfway line there. Treating her on the side. So Norway playing with 10. On that left side. Lily crosses. It's behind a couple of players. Chased down. This is O'Reilly. Waits for the help. Osborne lays it off to her. Ellerson. Gudbrandsson is back out on the field as this ball goes in wide of Bente Nordby.
To try and put in perspective the amount of attention that's been placed on this controversy. I was speaking actually with Phil Hirsch about the goalkeeping situation.
Chicago Tribune?
Yep, Phil Hirsch of the Chicago Tribune, and he called and said his story online on the Chicago Tribune website had received more attention and hits than any other story, not just sports, any other story on their website. He said, and the Cubs, he goes, mind you, the Cubs just clinched. Notre Dame lost again. The Bears have a huge game. And still, he goes, this is getting more buzz than anything else. He says, in all the years I've covered sports and Olympic sports, the only thing I can compare it to, it's even more than the Tanya Harding situation. I said, wow, are you kidding me?
You said a phrase I haven't heard in a while. Cubs clinched? Is that what you said? and the solo controversy and the goalkeeping caused more hits.
It did. That's what he said.
USA-Norway third place game here in Shanghai. We'll be checking in with Tony DeCicco in a few minutes time back at our Bristol, Connecticut studios. Get his take on what's happened here in the second half of play. Tough takedown there, but no foul was called. And that one's still stinging Kalupny, who's down. O'Reilly looks up. She's got to play that ball out. Now she does. Looked like she was going to play it long for a second. But Kalupny was down. That's a rough hit. And a tough landing, too. Going to be tossed back in to the United States, and Dalmy will play it back. We've got the final coming up after this. It is Brazil and Germany. Brazil trying to be a first-time champion. The men have won it 5 times. Germany trying to be the first to repeat champion. Kick straight up by Whitehill. Kalupny's after it, headed it down. Husa chases against Wambach. Abby with 2 goals tonight. Another good performance for her. She'll draw the foul.
Here's another good look at this foul. Just trips her up slightly. A lot of physical play by Norway. Kalepny's up and walking around again. Has her hands on her knees, as you can see on the left side of your screen there.
Whitehill will take this free kick. Wambach, obviously a huge target here. Whitehill will send it up. Norby's coming out a little bit late, I thought. Kept in and then sent it over the bar. It's a goal kick coming up for Norway. Germany and Brazil headed to the final, and interesting to note, they haven't played that many times, Julie, but Germany's never lost to Brazil. Could this be the day?
If Brazil played anything like they did against the United States, that was one of the more impressive performances I think I've ever seen at a World Cup level.
You just hope both teams bring their A game to this, that they're not tired or have any other problems going on with the teams.
I talked to Katia of Brazil, who played in the WSA, great player. She hasn't had much time off the bench this World Cup because they have so many offensive players, but she said, you know, yes, beating the United States was like our final. However, we're going to be ready for this game. We want to bring the same thing, and we don't feel pressure. We just want to go out and have fun, and you could see them smiling and dancing a lot in that last game. So when they're loose, they're playing their best. But Germany, as you said earlier, hasn't conceded a goal this entire World Cup. First team, in fact, to get to a final, either men or women, in a World Cup without conceding a goal. So very organized.
That's shocking, and some will say that Ungerer, who has set records, still hasn't really been tested that much in this World Cup. You get the feeling she will be tested in a few hours. Foul is called, and USA will have the ball. 69th minute. Things going their way tonight in the third place match against Norway, their longtime rivals. Such a bitter history, so many great games between the U.S. and Norway over the years. A lot of people thought China was the USA's best rivalry, but talk to USA players, they all would say Norway.
And I could see Abby on the back post waving her hand in the air saying, find me on that far post, and Whitehill almost did just that.
Here's Norway attacking left side. Husa controls it. Not much room there as Tarpley tries to cut it off. Solveig Gulbrandsen, Stensland trying to deke against Lilly, and then we'll just give that ball away. Scurry lets it go out for a goal kick. Another good crowd here, averaging over 37,000 during this World Cup. They may, when they count all the numbers, have set a new record for attendance in a Women's World Cup, beating the 1999 World Cup. They've had over 1 million people coming into these games since it started on September 10th. The chase back into the Norway end, and what a bad clearance that turned out to be, giving away a corner kick to Christine Lilly in the U.S.
Yeah,
Seventh one.
That is definitely the last thing you want to do when you're down 4-1 in the 70th minute. No one marking Abby. They're going full zone in the 6. Norway, no one even man marking.
Lilly strikes it across. Wambach was going for it. Stensland and she collided. It straight up for grabs. Headed again. And now headed out by Stensland.
You usually see teams take a combined approach. They zone in the 6-yard box and then man mark outside of the 6. And Norway style, which I don't think is as an effective tactic, is they zone the entire box there. You saw Kat Whitehill on one of the prior U.S. goals standing wide open on the near post. Abby wide open on the back post.
That started out looking like a good ball from Tarpley to O'Reilly. Tar Heel teammates, as we mentioned. More players are warming up on the sidelines. Norway have made a couple of changes. USA have also made a couple. That's Lilly on the sideline. And she'll lose that in the throw, and she doesn't agree. It's Norway's ball. Well, this has been the most offensive-minded U.S. team we've seen so far in the tournament. Some will say it's unfortunate that it comes in this game, the third-place game. But it is something to build on with the Olympics around the corner next year. Here's Husa. Nice turn. Right by that end line. She'll play it back. Veek inside the box. Headed down. U.S. have to clear that out. Veek again. Taking it in deeper against Dalmy. Good hustle by Dalmy. And she doesn't even give up a corner there. She'll give up a throw-in.
You can hear the crowd getting behind Norway. They know another goal changes the whole landscape of this game.
Branson plays it in. And that's wide of goal. We've seen the Norway fans so passionate at men's World Cups. Passionate here as well. In some of the smaller countries, it's a huge deal because they don't have all the sports that we have in the States. It's always been big in Norway and Sweden, among other places.
Married to an Englishman, it's in their blood in England as well, all of Britain.
Think England's
Obviously
result,
South America.
Will England's result and how well they played in this tournament help them to grow the game there? Because if the English Federation throws in some money, they could be a factor someday in Europe.
Well, what I found fascinating is about 2000, they said, hey, we should probably support our women better and start training them better, give them some funding. And you can see in just five years the difference in the English team.
That's Norby hanging on to that. And Bente Norby getting ready to put it back into play. 74th minute. USA up 4-1. Ragnhild Gudbrandsen the only goal for Norway.
Women's soccer fans all over the world keep waiting for the Brazilian Federation to actually make that move as well. They keep threatening it. And speaking with Cece over email, she says, I don't even think a Women's World Cup win today will change the mindset. Unfortunately, she says, it saddens me so much.
Walmart's cross. Knotted down. And what a great player Cece was for Brazil. But the best player for Brazil is coming up at 8 a.m. Eastern time, and that's Marta. And she's only 21, but I think now we can call her the best player in the world. Here's Husa.
And this is actually what I love about these third-place games is they start to open up because you don't go into a mode when you're 4-1 up where you have to bunker down and preserve the win. It's let's just play and keep scoring. You're seeing the United States attack, Norway getting some attack.
This one intended for Wambach, and will go out of play. Norway's ball on the throw-in. And originally it was going to be Horpestad to take it, but instead it's going to be Husa. USA up 4-1. Got Tony DeCicco with us, former head coach of the USA women's national team, joining us. Tony, your thoughts here on the second half?
Well, JP, Julie, this has been a dominant performance by the United States, 20 shots to 5. And, you know, they've made a good Norway team look very average. They're playing freely. They're playing a good possession game. They're creating opportunities for their personality players to take on in the flanks. And then they're getting into the penalty area and finishing chances.
Tony, for those who've never seen a third-place game and you've been involved before, is this kind of the way you expected it might go?
I expected it to be a closer game. I think the USA is, as I said, making Norway look like they don't even belong here in the third-place game. These are not throwaway games. These teams are playing for a bronze medal and a lot of pride and respectability. You never want to leave a World Cup with 2 straight losses.
Tony, for those that have watched the USA battle throughout this World Cup and not get the result that they wanted, they're tuning in today. They're seeing the U.S. look like a different team. If they asked you why the difference, how would you explain that? Their best game was today in the third-place match.
That's a tough question, JP. I think they played with a lot of nerves. They haven't shown the confidence on the ball. Today, they're much more confident. They're doing a much better job of keeping possession in the final third, but really possession all over the field. And I'm not sure why they didn't play this style in group play. And but it's important, I think, for them as players and for the team to end and leave China on a positive note.
Tony, thanks for your time. We'll see you in a little bit for the final.
No question about needing to leave on a positive note with the faces you've seen on some of these players. You know, they just did not want to go home with the Brazil memory still fresh in their mind like that. And they're going to carry that, no question, for a year, but at least you can turn to this game and say, look at the way we bounced back as a team.
Stensland's shot just over Scory.
And that was a great question, JP. Why didn't, and here you're going to see Stensland taking one from outside. Again, difficult to score on Brian Ascuri from that range, but the question of why didn't we see this from the United States early on? And you're seeing just a different patience, even from their back four. Before, where you see the back four just without any pressure launch it forward, you're seeing them calmer on the ball.
You're watching the third place match from Shanghai, this magnificent stadium. New grass installed during this World Cup. USA having their best offensive performance of this tournament. A couple of goals by Wambach, one by Kolupny, one by O'Reilly. Ragnhild Gulbrandsen has the only goal for Norway. We're going to see a switch. Melissa Wick leaves. Isabel Herlofsen comes in. She scored goals in back-to-back games against Ghana and China. She is the future of Norway, or part of the future. She's just 19, but a terrific young player. Replacing another good young player, Melissa Wick, who did not have a strong game today. Norway on the ball. Solveig Gulbrandsen.
Herlofsen's had a great World Cup, and as you said, has done very well at the youth national team level. And has carried that forward to the senior level, which is hard to do for many players.
That was Herlofsen against Ellerson. Tina trying to clear it. USA still have a couple of subs up. Natasha Kai, Marcy Jobson. They've already made 2 changes, so can only make the one more. Beautiful night in Shanghai, and it's the best we've seen the USA women play in this tournament. They are up 4-1 against their longtime rivals from Norway.
And you see the U.S. knock the ball around, and people were saying, well, maybe the players don't have the technical ability to do it. And I've always disagreed with that. I said, yes, they do. We just haven't seen it yet.
Seeing some of it there with O'Reilly as it's knocked out for a throw-in.
You know, and it makes you wonder what was the tactical approach to these games. Were they told to play more direct? Did they think that was the best way? You've seen some of Coach Ryan's quotes about if you try and possess it in the middle of the park in the modern game, you're just going to get killed. So I do think, however, that these players are tremendously skilled, and maybe not like a Brazil. You don't see many teams like that, but they can hold the ball better than what we've seen in this World Cup, as this game shows.
Whitehill towards Wambach. She nodded it down, but there was nobody there. Right in the middle of the box area. Norway coming back with it. 81st minute. USA leads here 4-1. Then all these teams will be headed back home tomorrow to their respective countries. On the right, this ball played in. Herlofsen. She couldn't get to it. She was well marked by Dalmy. Wambach. Tarpley. And O'Reilly over the top. No flag up. Nordby's way out. Has to win that ball, and she does. That was well designed. We haven't seen that this whole tournament. Quick passes like that, and then over the top to Wambach.
And again, it's interesting when you can possess it like that, how much it frees up your forwards. You've seen many more touches from Abby Wambach and Christine Lilly today than probably we've seen in the entire tournament.
Riley knocks it back. Is this the way, Julie, you thought the team would respond after all that's gone on this week?
I did. It's interesting because when something like that happens to a group, you obviously can go 2 ways. And I knew with this team and how strong they were that it would be positive, that they would actually use it as a moment to come together. And you had the very good leadership of Christine Lilly pulling them together. I mean, they've had a number of team meetings and player-only meetings in the last couple days.
Throw-in coming up here.
And I'm sure team sports psychologist Colleen Acker has got a full inbox from the last couple days. She's
probably
saying,
had to buy another computer.
I think it would have been wise for U.S. Soccer Federation to have her here. I was surprised when she wasn't coming with the team. I think that would have helped tremendously.
Here's Kolupny sending it in. Do we know why she wasn't here officially?
We do not know why officially.
Played up. Gudbranson laid it off. Marie Knudsen to the right. Norway running out of time. They're 3 goals down. To the end line. Another corner kick. USA has had an edge there. Only a couple for Norway in terms of corner kicks. There's Guro Knudsen, whose effort led to this.
And again, people will look at this score in the 82nd minute and think, okay, this game is over. But not for the United States, because this isn't about tonight. This is about the 2008 Olympics and building towards that.
Played in. It's a loose ball and then cleared away by Wambach. Out to the halfway line. Giska looks up, sends it long. Headed once. Scory's got it and holds on. Four to 1, USA on top of Norway. 3rd place match, 84th minute. Right by 2 Norway defenders. Lilly collides but bounced off. Cleared by Horpestad. Knudsen over to her sister, and that goes out. Throwing for the United States. Lopez. Age 21. Youngest on this team for the U.S. She's missed the start of her collegiate season at the University of Portland. I'm sure that coaching staff would love to see her back. I hope she takes a little time off, though, before she goes right back at it.
That's the amazing thing with these college kids, is they just go from one thing to the next, and they still can play for the youth national team. And sometimes I just think it's way too much.
Dalmy tried to go outside, broken up by Husa. And she gave it away. Kolupny was all over that. O'Reilly's cross. Intended for Wambach. That's cut off. 85th minute. All USA here. A couple of goals by Wambach. Kolupny and O'Reilly have the others. Ragnhild Gudbranson for Norway. This is a much better exit for Greg Ryan and his team with a win here tonight than what we saw in the last game. That was the worst loss in USA's history. 4-0 against Brazil.
Worst loss, and what's even worse is you have 11 months to think about it as a player.
I was going to say what's worse is that it could have been even worse because Brazil missed some good opportunities as well. That could have been a much higher score than it was.
It could have. And
let's go to the studio. Rob Stone, what do you have?
Well, JP, no reason at all to flick away after this game. Plenty of U.S. post-game and really post-tournament reaction. We'll continue to analyze the fallout from the Greg Ryan-Hope solo confrontation. Julie Foudy goes bowling with Christine Lilly, kind of. Plus, Julie reflects back on her first trip to China. Plenty of Julie Foudy to come up in the next hour. We're also going to preview that final game coming your way, guys.
Bowling with Foudy? I might have to tune in for that, even here in Shanghai. She's been busy here.
I was actually sore from bowling. Yeah. That tells you.
I'm sure people
and
are feeling
I call myself an athlete.
People are feeling sorry for you, I'm sure.
I did. The next day I was like, why am I so sore on my left side? And then it hit me. I was like, I should not say that out loud. That is so pathetic.
Norway looking for one for good measure here. They're going to come up with a corner kick if that ball goes out. And it'll be their 3rd one.
We were talking about the 2008 and living with it for a year, and I said, you know, that's the hard thing. You got to live with it for 11 months. The great thing, though, as a player, is you think it could have been worse. I could have had to live with it for 3 years, which happens after an Olympics. At least you get another shot at it within the year.
Corner kick here for Norway. Trying to make it closer. Scores up and hit her. It's loose and cleared away by Kolupny. That could have been the second goal for Norway. With time running, Kolupny will clear it in the 87th minute. Natasha Kai is up beside her head coach Greg Ryan, so she looks to be the third and final U.S. sub, but time is running out. Headed away by Whitehill. Here comes another corner kick for Norway. Fourth one. Herlofsen, one of the targets here. Everybody getting ready for one of the final efforts here from Norway. It's knotted down and put up and over Skori. And here's going to be that final sub. Natasha Kai for Christine Lilly. And maybe a chance here for the local fans to acknowledge Christine Lilly one last time in a World Cup. And Lily's going to give the captain's armband, I believe, to Skori. She's walking over now to do that. So Christine Lilly, this looks like it for her in terms of World Cups. I think Brian Skori knows that. And the fans here do too. She made her national team debut some 20 years ago. She's played in 3 decades now with this team, and Natasha Kai is a good story to tell future generations that she came in when Christine Lilly came out of her final World Cup match. It has to be emotional.
5 World Cups, and what an honor to be watching her live, present, walk off that field. And
what was amazing to me, the ovation was not, even though the world feed showed USA supporters, you could hear it throughout the stadium. So there was an awareness of Christine Lilly from others that are here rooting for other teams, other countries besides Norway. Other people are here to see Germany and Brazil in the final. Here's O'Reilly, end line cross. Nordby got twisted around. Kai is chasing it down. She's the first Hawaiian-born woman on this team. Brian Ching had that distinction on the men's side. Here's Kolupny shooting it high and wide.
And so happy for Christine Lilly to walk off that field with a smile on her face and a much better memory. Granted, they did not walk away with a World Cup like she wanted, but to at least walk away and say, okay, this was a better performance, and take comfort in the fact that I helped pull this team together for a very important third-place match.
This is the U.S. clearing it away. We're all looking at different things on this field, and as you were talking, my eyes turned to the USA bench. And Greg Ryan went down and shook hands with every player that was on that bench, and makes you think, as this comes wide of Skori, is it a final handshake in this kind of competition? Could be.
And it makes you think, what would have happened had he not made the goalkeeper switch? And the controversy that ensued, it never would have happened.
3 minutes of stoppage time, and we don't know what Greg Ryan's fate is, and we don't believe Greg Ryan knows either. When we asked him about it this morning, he said if he were the president, he would stay on. But it's not in his hands, and we'll see what U.S. soccer decides. Greg Ryan says that he can really look in the mirror and know that he did his best to get this team competitive, make them be ready for every game, and he was happy with that.
He did concede that. In hindsight, I wish that I had given Brianna Skuri more games leading up and made them dual starting keepers.
And again, he's been terrific with us in the midst of all this controversy. Tough questions to ask. Only 2 no comments I think he gave us during the whole time, and that's fine. He handled all of this pressure as best he could. Granted, he put it on himself, but some people don't stay around.
to the last minute of the match, which has been well contested but well won by the United States, who will keep up their record of never having finished below third. So they'll take some respect and dignity away with them. Good football from Norway. Whitehill across, crashes it up to halfway. Then Husa. Ellison happy to send it flying up into the other half. A last run of the tournament for Wambach. There's one-on-one, rolls it in invitingly. Tarpley! It's wide. It's only wide because it got a deflection. Lindsay Tarpley very close to what would have been a first World Cup goal for her. She scored in the Olympic Games. And she scored in the World Under-19s, but she couldn't get a goal in the big one, the World Cup. Bente Nordby's let 4 in today. None of them her fault. She doesn't want to make that 5. It'll just be time for this corner kick before the referee blows the final whistle. She can blow it now, I fancy. That's it, it's all over. The United States of America claim 3rd place at the World Cup of 2007. Norway have to settle for 4th. There'll be a handshake on the touchline between coaches Greg Ryan and Bjarne Berntsen. There they are together. No doubt about it, the United States deserved this.
And the U.S. concludes a trying tournament with a strong win over Norway. We apologize for the audio issues we had at the tail end of our live broadcast from Shanghai. You were listening to the World Feed commentary, but the U.S. wins the bronze medal, a rather thorough 4-1 thumping, Coach.
Strong effort by the United States. I know they wanted to leave China with a win and the bronze medal. They made a good Norway team look average.
It was good to see the team bounce back. Good possession. They're knocking it around. Very unpredictable. A great way to end this tournament for the U.S. team.
So the U.S. will leave China with a 4-1 victory in the 3rd place game. We're not going to leave you anytime soon. We're going to be with you for at least the next hour and change as we wrap up the U.S. tournament and look ahead to the upcoming final between Brazil and Germany. See you after the break. Shanghai will have hosted 7 World Cup games, second most of the 5 venues across China. And for me, China represents my favorite kind of food. For Julie Foudy, it holds a bit of a deeper meaning than a good bowl of wonton soup.
Picture this. It's 20 years ago, and I'm a 10th grader who's landed in Shenyang, China to prepare for the inaugural Women's World Cup. And I am a world away from home in every conceivable way. I don't know many of my teammates. There is no such thing as email, cell phones, or iPods to escape to. I have no idea I'm about to embark on a 20-year odyssey that would bring me back here nearly 10 times. Instead, my trig homework weighs heavily on my mind. To my left, I see a shy girl from Connecticut named Christine, whom I hardly know. I see another high school kid. Her name is Mia. Little did I know she would transform this sport I love. We travel in packs in this country, with eyes watching us at all times. If it isn't a government official, it's the townspeople, some who have never seen Americans before. They are riding on what seems to be an endless sea of bikes. When they see us, we are a glimpse to an outside world they would otherwise never see. Fast forward to today. I'm back in China for the 5th Women's World Cup. A lot has changed in my life. I'm a soccer mom now for one, but that's nothing compared to what's happened in this country. For instance, here in Shanghai, I can order a Big Mac from McDonald's, followed by a double soy caramel macchiato at Starbucks, all in English. Everyone around me is checking their Blackberries or talking on a cell phone. Flat screen plasmas stalk you with advertisements at every turn. If it were not for the Chinese symbols, you'd think you were in Midtown Manhattan. I've been all over the world in the last 20 years, and no place has changed more than China. Cars have replaced bikes. Satellite dishes have replaced rusted antennas. Modern skyscrapers squeeze out the ancient architecture. While Western influences have made it easier for us visitors to navigate this foreign land, I can't help but feel saddened by what appears to be a loss of heritage. Yet, the feeling in the air is one of optimism, celebration for the Women's World Cup, and opportunity to show off a new China, A China I could have never imagined as a naive teenager back in 1987.
That country certainly has come a long way, as has Julie Foudy's hairdos. Speaking of Julie and JP Dellacamera joining us live now from Shanghai. They're getting set to call the final between Brazil and Germany. But guys, first let's reflect back on the U.S. tournament. What do they take away from this cup?
Well, I think they get a moral victory today. I'll let Julie talk about that, but I think they get a moral victory. They needed to win this game. They've never finished below this in a World Cup tournament, so that had to be a plus.
And exactly right. If you look at the history of third-place games, many people say they're worth nothing, but the U.S. had never walked away without a medal, so that was a huge victory for them. And then mentally to recover from this controversy, which again you can't underestimate the impact on the team, because that has never happened to this group before, and the way they bounced back. Yeah. You know, I give them tremendous credit, because I mean, being on the dark side now, on the other side, it was a tremendous distraction.
Yeah. They showed a lot of character today, I thought, Rob, because they could have had a disaster of a game today, but instead 20 players, and they showed a lot of resolve.
What's wrong with living on the dark side, Julie? Come on, I've been doing this for about 20 years. The dark side is just fine. Let's look forward to the upcoming championship game. And guys, both teams littered with star marquee talents. Are they the focus for this game?
I think, you know, anyone tuning in wants to see Marta play. I mean, if you've seen the clips, if you haven't caught her yet, I mean, it's something to watch. And then on the other side of it is it's not just Marta and Christian and Formiga. I mean, you go on and on with the Brazilian teams, but you've got Birgit Prince, who I think is a tremendous player, and another one of the best in the world. For years, she was winning the World Player of the Year award. So no question, they will be the highlights of this match.
Should have a classic matchup today, Rob, because both of these teams did well in terms of scoring goals and also preventing them. And of course, Germany hasn't faced any adversity, no goals allowed, so they've never even trailed in this tournament.
Julie, Brazil played with incredible emotion against the United States. Do you think they can duplicate that emotion now against the defending world champions?
Well, that's a great question, because I said the same thing to Katia today, as many women's soccer fans know, played in the WSA and has been on the Brazilian team for years. And I said, how do you come back from such an emotional victory like that? Do you have a hangover? Is it difficult? And she said, look, we have for years wanted to beat the United States, and that has been a psychological block for us. So to get through that game, yes, it was emotional and we were dancing, but I think it's the confidence we need now going forward in the Olympics, in this final, to actually feel like we can do it. We can finally win a World Cup, because, you know, as everyone knows, they've never made it to a final of a World Cup. The first time in an Olympics was this last Olympics.
JP, Julie, we appreciate your time. I know you guys are awfully busy today. As my mom would say, go take a potty break right now. My mom is enjoying that comment guys. Somewhere right now, very early in the morning. Anybody got to go potty? Yes, Mom, I'm in my late 30s. I don't have to go potty anymore. All right, we carry on here. Somehow I schedule from potty, or segue from potty to this, as that is what they are all game.
Christine, you guys had a team huddle there at the end. What did Coach Ryan tell you guys?
He told us that he's proud of what we did today. And I don't think it was just about winning. I think it was about everything, how we handled ourselves, how we came back and played in this last game, you know, for our fans at home, for ourselves, and for our family here. And I think you saw USA play better soccer today.
What have you decided about your future?
I haven't decided. I haven't decided. I'm going to take some time to figure out. I gotta recover from these 6 games. How many games we play? 6. But this group, I'm so proud of this group today. And I told them in there, I go, this is a moment, and this will rack up with one of my top moments in my career, because of what we accomplished. And you know, we weren't in the final game, but this 3rd place is something important to us.
What will the experience of this World Cup, how will it influence your decision whether you continue playing or will you retire?
I don't know. All I know is I'm tired. That's the one thing I'm sure of. But I'm going to take some time. I mean, we get back, we got a couple games to play for our fans at home, and I'm just going to enjoy everything, you know, and just make sure this team knows how great they've done, and what a future we have with this group.
What was the feeling like when you come off the field there and everybody was applauding?
It was great. It's one of those moments when you're out there, I wanted to soak it in a little bit. Just the fans, appreciating it, gave a wave over to the family and friends over there. My teammates were huge when I came off the field, giving me a big hug, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Two things stood out for me listening to that for the first time. Number one, that was actually one of her most memorable games. You wouldn't really figure that with all the things she has been through in her career. But maybe more importantly, the smile. The smile is back on Lily, the captain. The smile seemed to have returned to the U.S. team.
Well, they came here to win the World Cup, but they weren't one of the two best teams. The two best teams are playing next. But this is why I love third place games, because if you get beaten in the semifinals, you have a chance to get back, win a game, and leave China, in this case, with a smile.
Yeah, this is great. We finally saw the U.S. team giving it a full 90 to their ability, and I think the way that this team rebounds is what you would expect from this U.S. team. Unfortunately, in the last game, the way it ended, they have to end on a high note, and now they're just looking forward to going out in the Olympics and coming home victorious, hopefully.
That may have been Tony's strongest statement of the Cup. You love the third place game. You are in solitary confinement with that one, my friend. When that alarm went off at 3 a.m., I wasn't loving the third place game. Well, in all likelihood, that third place game was Christine Lilly's final World Cup game. And when most people talk about their future, it's with a loved one, maybe a financial advisor. Christine Lilly, no, just give her a video game and Julie Foudy and let the thoughts roll on out.
I think that says
Warm it up,
cancel
kids.
or start.
Warm it up, Lil.
Wait, I want to be taller.
Okay, yeah, you've always wanted to be taller. I'll
Yeah,
make you
good,
tall
perfect.
today, look at you.
Yeah, give me a smile or something.
Yeah, you're very serious. Let's give you full lips. Oh, very nice.
All right.
I am a fish. How about that?
That one's smooth.
Okay.
Do you know I took bowling in college?
You got units for it?
Oh, I got credit. Yeah.
You got credit?
Yeah.
For bowling?
I got an
Is that what you guys do at North Carolina?
A. Well, one of the things we do.
Oh,
Hey, you're red.
join the party!
Thank you.
Is this me in red? I like me. So let's go to where you're going to be in a year.
Maybe back in China.
Right. Are you going to continue?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going to see how I feel after this. I think I could play in another tournament. Just the training, that stuff.
It's your follow-through. You're giving a little spin on it.
That's what I'm talking about.
If you were to retire, when you are to retire, not that I'm saying you're retiring, let's reiterate that. What do you want to do?
What do I want to do?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I kind of want to be you. I don't know. I think I'm going to hang out at home, have a baby, maybe copy Brandy and Mina.
Join the soccer mom bandwagon. It's a great wagon to get on.
It's pretty good, right?
Yes, it's great. I just won again, just want you to know.
What?
Are you serious? Did that just happen while I was so focused? Do you even let your mind go to the thought of Sunday possibly being the last time you put on a national team jersey?
You never look at it as it's your last. You enjoy every moment you're a part of, and I think that's more important than worrying about what I'm going to do later on. But I think it's going to be, no matter how you look at it, it's going to be very difficult. Because I think this game has been such a part of my life for so long. And I think not having it a part of you is going to be a change. I think it's something I'm looking forward to, but also I think it's going to be a huge adjustment.
As of now, Lily's still planning on playing in next summer's Olympic Games there in China, the home of the Panda Bear. And our countdown continues to the final. Brazil reacted like beating the U.S. on Thursday was their World Cup victory. Will they be in the right state of mind to take on this German juggernaut? Kickoff in about 27 minutes.